Right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar UX for Enterprise Impact. I'm Milan, based in Paris, and with me, hopefully, I have Eric. Are you there? Yes, so today, this is us. Just a little intro. So I'm running a consultancy called EDA, also a little SaaS startup called T-Menu. So working with enterprises a lot, and also running many hats over my head, running the intersection group. And Eric, you just want to say hello?
Yes, hello everybody. I'm Eric. I'm partner in also a small consultancy based in Montreal and Quebec City in Canada. We use a lot of EDGY, and my business partner Jean-Sébastien, who is in the room right now, is also a huge contributor and core member of Intersection Group. So I'm pleased to be with you today.
I'm extremely pleased that you're here with me too, because we have been working together quite a lot about this. And so let's dive into it. But just before, as of today, we have some exciting news. We are finally ready to announce our next conference, Intersection 25, the 11th Intersection Conference in Brussels. So if you have any stories to tell about untangling the mess together, we would really like to hear from you. Call for contributions is open today. Will be over 3 days at the Free University of Brussels. And so we are just very excited about this. So I wanted to share this up front. And our story today also actually starts with another conference that also uses an X as a logo, which is, so it must be quite trending. We must be on the right track. So Eric and I went last fall to Enterprise UX, organized by Peter, who you see here in the picture, welcoming people on stage. And so, second time, the Dutch Amsterdam UX community organized this conference. And today's webinar is pretty much inspired by this event. I think it was like 500 designers, UXers, researchers working with enterprises. And so we were very happy to be there. And I want to actually start by asking you something. Because enterprise UX, is not necessarily something everyone has heard about. The whole topic of having impact on the enterprise, the role of the enterprise in user experience, for user experience. So we were asking people why were they there? Why did they come to Amsterdam to this conference? And I want to ask you the same question. So I will just try something for the first time now, which is a survey. And just ask you, I hope it works. Do you work on a complicated product? Do you design for pros? Do you design for employee or work experiences? Do you depend on your organization to actually work with you to deliver things into other people's work, or other people to deliver into your work, or maybe even change the ways of working of the organization? Do you work with operational processes, automated, not automated, manual, maybe IT systems? Is your work directly contributing or indirectly to the purpose of your enterprise? And is your work about delivering on brand promises to customers or even to other audiences, like maybe employees, investors, and so on? So we see some votes coming in. Interesting. It's a bit different than what we had in Amsterdam, right, Eric?
Yeah, indeed. But in Amsterdam, it was more like raised hand, so we may not count as fast as the machine.
That is true. Yeah. Now, but I see the clear winner here so far is really interesting. It's the organization's purpose in a complex environment. And so this is what we see more and more also in times like these, that it's really interesting to look again in why are we here? What do we actually want to spend our day with? And what is the purpose of the enterprise? In 2016, we had a brilliant speech at Intersection 16 in Copenhagen by Len Feskens. He was the journal of the he was the editor-in-chief of the Journal of Enterprise Architecture, and he said the main goal when it comes to enterprises is to make it fit for purpose. But what is the purpose? And this gets also into something that we deal with EDGY. Well, thank you so much for this little voting. I'll end it right here and go back to the share. All right, so we asked this also because this is a way to introduce you in a lightweight to some EDGY. This is something that you can also try with clients and partners and so on. So yes, we have here some jargon. We color-coded it in EDGY colors. So yes, we talk about products in EDGY, about experiences. Today we talk about user experiences, but using is an interesting concept when it comes to experiences. Are you using Disneyland when you go there? Like is it a user experience? Organization is an EDGY concept. Processes in our architecture, our purpose, our brand. So these are the topics that we deal with when we use EDGY. But then we also asked people beforehand, why care at all about the enterprise as a UXer? Aren't you just working on a product, on a digital touch point, on a digital service maybe? Why would you look into the enterprise? And so this is some stuff we got back, some comments. So the enterprise is sometimes making it hard for UXers, right? They say, oh, it's not important. We had this wave of dismissal actually over the last months. Also, maybe the people buying our product aren't actually the users. Or, everything is already decided. You're just there for the buttons and the wireframes and the interface. Or, now it's nice what you drew there, but we can't actually do that because our IT legacy, won't permit us. Or, we have operations, DevOps, whatever ops, we have product, we have customer experience. So whatever you're talking about here is not actually your turf, your responsibility, it's someone else's. If you have any of these frustrations that we can look into later, please write them in the chat so we can look into what we can leverage EDGY for to tackle when it comes to your work. But let's look into a little bit of background. So first, I want to start with a personal story. I'm living in Paris and I'm using the bike rental system quite a lot. And this picture is from quite some time ago. They have improved a lot of things. But back then, when you opened the app, it showed you this picture, right? So you see all of Paris, you see me here in the up north, and it's a bit stupid. I will not walk to the other side of Paris and try to get a bike there, right? So that's not really what I'm here for. So I had to zoom in. They found out probably through testing and research that was the case. So they improved it. So it would show you actually something around where you are, which is great. But where I was at that time, where my office was, I often saw this, like no bikes, no bikes, no bikes, no bikes, no bikes. And of course, that is a user experience problem, right? So I want to use the bike. I want to go from A to B. But I can't. Is that the fault of the app? No. What's the scope of the UX designer? Probably the app, right? So in order to solve these problems, to actually have bikes when I want one, we have to go beyond the app. We have to look into the maybe incentivation of people to drive their bike back up the hill, because this is on a hill. That's the reason why there are no bikes. Maybe look into e-bikes, right? Maybe look into the operational processes of how they are distributed or redistributed, and so on and so on. So lots of questions that enter the realm of our user experience scope. And sometimes with that, we go against some other people's and their plans in the organization, in the enterprise. And so all of this comes back to the question of how much is UX actually responsible for? And where does this stop and where do other fields begin, and how can we work with them? And a lot of people have a lot of opinions about that. I just looked over the last few days on LinkedIn, and you can find a lot of opinions about that. But one source that you see with a lot of opinion on that is Forrester. Their friends from Gartner also have a lot of opinion on something called total experience, if you want to look into that. But this is a picture that you can find on the Forrester website. And you see that you have the customer experience, right? Me as the customer of Velib, and inside I have the user experience of the little app, right? And if you look into the discussions and into the text here on the Forrester website, you will get the slides, by the way. If you want to click the links later, you see that UI is even a smaller little piece inside the UX, right? So that's kind of a view that we see in enterprises, that UX is relegated to these little pieces, these little apps, and then they look at the whole customer relationship as something bigger, where maybe there are service designers, maybe not. More often they are not there, or maybe someone else, and maybe customer experience pros in marketing or wherever else. I'm sharing this because I think it's really fundamentally wrong and flawed, and I think EDGY can help you with that. So am I here to position enterprise design as the even bigger umbrella? No, not really. But I think we need to turn this around. We have to look again at the user. So this is the user in this case, right? So this is Velib. These are these bikes in Paris, and this is I have a phone and I use this on the phone. But when I go from A to B, I'm not using only Velib. I use maybe some city mapper planning app or Google Maps. Maybe I use the public transport apps. Maybe I use some kind of chat to coordinate with friends. And then there's also the whole cityscape that I'm interacting with. Yeah. And so all of this is part of my user experience. It's not just the Velib app, and it's not even just the bicycle itself. It's all of this stuff, right? And in this user experience, I'm using the bike, obviously. So that's a user experience, but I also have a lot of customer experiences, if you want, popping up, because I'm a customer of each of these companies. So the enterprises, what they want to do is to play a role in people's lives. So I have a task, and enterprises compete and position themselves and work together or not to appear in my task, in my journey, to help me tackle my task, and to try and be useful, and ideally try to make me pay. And again, maybe it's not only the user experience and the customer experience here. Maybe have something like a Paris experience here. I just made that up as a PX. But biking around the canal here, where we are right now, it's quite nice. So that's the Paris experience. Going back, is that actually the user experience? But how to make this work? So we have an ecosystem. We have the user. We have the customer. Sometimes it's the same person. Sometimes it's someone else. And we want to orchestrate these things. We want to make them work together. And for that, we have to look into the enterprises that deliver them. And so I show you here an early example of my work with EDA. And it's also a map app, actually, but a little different. This one was designed for pilots. So it's a navigation system that is mounted in the flight deck. You see here where we are flying, where we are going, what kind of waypoints and boundaries for frequencies, and so on and so on. So a lot of times, in order to make a user customer experience happen, we have to design for a professional delivering a piece, an operational piece in this case, behind the scenes, right? And if the flight is delayed, if there's congestion, if there maybe even routing problems, this app will play a role, and the experience of the passenger will break down. But you don't really see why. So I think a lot of our UX work is to find these people that make things happen for the consumer, for the customer, for the passenger, whoever is our final user of the enterprise, in this case an airline probably, and see where do we need to improve things, where are those experiences that we need to appear in. And by the way, so you see on the right, you see a mock-up of the app. On the left, you see, I guess, something that you could call a wireframe. Now, the fun story here is that this wireframe came after the mock-up. Why? Because this is actually, so back then we managed to invent something which Boeing, the customer, actually patented at the time. And so there were a bunch of lawyers actually documenting what was going on. So this is part of a patent that you can look at Google. Google Patents is called the data-driven root strip. And so every element gets described. So if you ever want really, really detailed wireframes, you just get lawyers to make them. So dealing with enterprises is tricky, right? I'm not saying that dealing with users, consumers, people isn't, but with what we call enterprise design challenges, there are certain things, certain elements and traits that we see again and again. So one of it is what we call dark matter. So a lot of the success of the product, of the service, of the enterprise will depend on things that are hard to see. This is an attempt to make dark matter visible, which of course is impossible. So you have the processes, the regulations, the organizational culture, the interplay between different organizations, different parts inside organizations, which leads us to the second trait of enterprise design challenges, which is silos. So in order, like with the Valley problem, we will probably have to work with operations, digital marketing, communications to make something happen, right? To solve this problem that there are no bikes anywhere when people want to use it. And it gets quite complex. So we have to very rapidly wrap our head around a complex domain, like in this case, modular synth, which is, by the way, the only instance where I saw, other than in a flight deck, so many buttons, is musicians that use this kind of synthesizer. And so, yeah, we have to do that while not becoming the experts, right? So we have to stay true to being designers, being analysts, researchers, architects, whatever you want to call yourself. And to do so, we make a lot of maps, right? So, and this is where EDGY comes in. So maybe we make a journey map. These are very classic examples that we put here just for illustrative purposes. Maybe we have to work with product roadmaps, with blueprints, with organizational charts, or more trending variants of that, or business models, or technical systems, right? And all of these are not isolated. They are actually just looking at aspects or facets of the enterprise. And if we change something here, it will probably change something here in the blueprint, which will change something in the experience, which will have an impact on our product and maybe on our business and maybe on our tech. And now the problem, of course, in tech, when it comes to big enterprises, sometimes it doesn't look like this, but the reality actually looks more like this. So very complex. This is an actual model, by the way. We call it a scare model. So enterprise architects tend to make scare models to go back to people who say, well, we need to change everything. And they say, oh, yeah, here, look at this. This is the reality. What exactly want to change and who's paying for it? And are you sure? And I've seen actually UX designers also make some scare models in their time to defend the project or the work against similar attempts to compromise it. But anyway, so we make models, we try to make sense, we try to make these things work together. And again, I think this is where we think EDGY can really, really help. So just giving you an example, deliberately kind of starting with a non-enterprise kind of viewpoint. So here we have Netflix. It tries to suggest me a series I should watch. It looks kind of bleak with these people kneeling here and maybe about to be shot. It's actually not for me because, as you might know, that some people do that. I'm logged in as my friend. So it's actually her account. So the whole personalization thing doesn't really work for us because it's mixed. But anyway, so Netflix tries to show me new shows, right? And also when I click, I expect it to stream. And Jared Spool some time ago, in 2017, he came up with this little blog post saying somewhere in the depth of Netflix, there's a team that works mostly on making the bits move quickly so that there's no lag, there's no pixels, that it actually runs smoothly. So they are all about the performance, the service, the networks. And at the very moment someone views a video stream on Netflix, these engineers become user experience designers, right? Because without them, our experience design will break down. And this is very far away from the interface that the user sees, from the buttons, from the wireframes, from all of this. It's in the trenches. But if it fails, the experience will be really, really bad. And if we look at Netflix, the website, I checked again today whether it's still there, because today you never know. They say as their purpose, coming back to the purpose discussion, one of their purposes that they go after is inclusion, and they have a very different picture here than in the Netflix app, showing people in the office and like maybe it's a kind of an inclusion scene, but so they say that they want people and cultures to see themselves reflected. So not only in their workforce, but also on screen. So they want more inclusion in the content that Netflix serves, right? So when you open Netflix, you see more countries, more like maybe small production, not Hollywood, and you see, kind of inclusive, like humanity included basically in the content of Netflix, which is a great purpose. So let's break that down using EDGY. And this is an example that is of course made up, but it shows you how to use it. So EDGY is a language of elements and relations, and also a color code of different facets. So we start from a person here. One of the most important, if not the most important element in EDGY is people. So here we have some kind of teenager. So deliberately, again, not me, looking to watch something new, which is their task. And at the same time, what we are working on here is an enterprise design challenge. We want to diversify our content for young viewers, which is something that maybe as a UX person or product designer or product strategist, or you might get as a challenge to implement this purpose. So we have this teenager and they want to watch a new show. This is not necessarily on Netflix. Maybe they have other ways to watch new shows. So they have a journey that they go through, which is the discovery of new content, and they use a channel for this, which is a personal iPad. And we have actually a product for that, which is great. Whenever we have a product to serve a task, that's good in EDGY. So we have suggested shows that we show this teenager. And this product requires a capability, which is where we get into the blue facets. So red is experience, blue is the architecture of the enterprise. What can it do? We can plan our catalog so that the suggested shows actually show something to our teenager. And who is responsible for that? An organization, which is our content team. And this content team pursues a purpose, which is this inclusion, which is maybe also in some document for them and in some OKRs. And this is realized in our product. But we need some more stuff for this capability. We have a deal broker app where we make deals with studios, and maybe it's some kind of a CRM or supplier relationship management thing. We have an onboarding process, and we have a content programming process. And in that team, there's someone else. It's a role that we have in our organization. It's the content purchaser. Now, if we want to tackle this challenge, where would we where would be our lever? Where's the point where we can change the system? And in classic UX scope, you would say it's probably here, right? So we have to do something in the product design, something in the wireframe, something in the journey, or to respond to the journey, to maybe introduce a new category or change the algorithm or something. But what if we actually don't have this content and we need it in order to pursue our goal? And this is where EDGY brings clarity. So we can now say, okay, actually our user is first this content purchaser. They want to make these deals and to pursue this purpose. And so they have a different task, which is make content deals. And so now in EDGY, we can go back to the stakeholders and say, you know what, we found the point where we can actually make a difference. We identified the task, we can interview them, we can do research, and we can maybe have a quick fix, which is an inclusion checklist content that they get, and say, like, whenever you do your job, just look into this. Or we can, maybe that's something that you get asked today more and more, we can deploy an AI agent using some LLM to help them make deals. And this is an internal product in EDGY. So there you see how we can bring clarity into a quite complex interplay of elements and relations using the enterprise design facets as a guide. So we go from questions like, what is the role in people's lives that our enterprise tries to play, like in this case, in our teenagers' life? What are our products? How do we make those products available? How do we operate? What's our architecture? And in order to do that, how do we work together? But to do what actually as a team? Why do we actually exist? That's our identity, our purpose, what matters to us. And if all of this fits well together, our product serves the task, then and it actually feels more inclusive maybe than the competition, then that will reflect on our brand, which is the reflection of the identity in people's experiences. And so EDGY has these elements and relations laid out. We won't go into an incredible amount of detail here today. If you want to learn more, you can look at enterprise.design, scan this code. Again, you will get the slides later. But yeah, so we want to, this was kind of the exercise version, the demo version of EDGY. What we want to do now is look into a real case, how Eric and friends actually used EDGY for a real client in a real world scenario. And maybe that inspires you to do the same.
Yes, Milan, thank you. What we will be looking at today is a real project that we did and still a bit ongoing. Of course, for NDA reason, we won't go in deep into content, but you will see how EDGY can help quite huge project to be more clear and less confused, and help a lot of different expertise to work together in the same way instead of just fighting each other. So some months ago, we were hired at and Friends to help the new Museum of Quebec Province in Canada. It's a museum about the history of Quebec culture, Quebec people. And it will be built in this beautiful building downtown in Quebec City, in the old part of the city. So I will share my screen to bring you into the real data and the real models that we built for this project. And just to, as an introduction, our mission was to help the museum team to create the connected space of the museum. So they will do exhibition about culture, history, stuff like that. And it starts with a connected object. So it's an IoT, Internet of Things kind of project. So we have in the room very people that are very creative. So they are exhibition designer creators. We have politics and stakeholders that have a mission and some vision that they want to be into the museum. And on the other side, we also have the technical team that need to be able to build what will be useful for the exhibition designers. And on top of that, of course, there are the visitors of the museum that should be totally seduced by the experience. digital experience, but including the physical experience too. So we have all those pieces that we have to mix together to help the team create the better experience for our visitors. Let me share my screen. Second, sorry. Okay, so I think you see my screen right now, Milan, if you can confirm. First, this is the EDGY Venn diagram that resume all what we did for this project, and you see that we have touched almost, not almost every part of the EDGY model. It starts with I won't zoom because it's details that are not relevant to the story. But if you see on the green part, we add this this mission about creating the more connected museum in Canada for this project. And it was the Minister of Culture and Communication that said that in a press conference. So cannot be more clear, but it's always a bit more, political stuff like that. So we did some workshop and some documentation analysis to understand what's the real mission, what's the real objective, what's the value behind the project. Then it helps us see who are the real stakeholder behind this project. And then we decide that we really need to understand a bit more about the experience that the exhibition designers and want to create. So that's where we decide to have those dual workshop, because you see, we start with organization and mission in the green, blue and green. And then we saw that there is two exhibitions, in fact, one for adults and another one for kids. And those clients must live very interesting experiences. So we split the process into two parts. And we did a lot of research, like here with the best way to communicate content into exhibition, and more analysis to how can we create a connected version of those classical way to express things in an exhibition, and on and on and on, with maps, of course, of the rooms and things like that. But as you may notice, we always use the EDGY language for all the projects. So we connect organization in blue, so the stakeholders and where the mission comes from, to the mission. And then there we start to see capabilities pairing. So what, on a very high level, what should we be able to do on a technological point of view in the exhibitions? And then what in red there, what the visitor wants. And it's very high level, but we go further and further deep down to define here what we want to create. Then we do a kind of a usual thing in user experience design, or visitor experience design in that case. We look everywhere in the world. What you see here is a lot of different examples of connected museums or connected experience from different type of business, organization, museums, whatever. And for each of them, and I can zoom on this one, it's not that very particular, we decide, sorry, and if you try to read it in French, for each of them, we define with the team of exhibition designers what is nice as a visitor experience with this type of connectivity, and what technological capabilities we need to be able to recreate this kind of experience. So we are starting to stitch together a concept of technical capabilities and visitor needs or visitor jobs to be done, if you know the concept of jobs to be done. And then we start, I won't go more than this for this one. We start to create some concept that, okay, this object, if we achieve those technical capabilities, we will be able to deliver this experience for our museum. So already there, and you see it's the same language. EDGY is always there to say, okay, this is our mission, this is what we can do with this or that technologies, and this will fit, with what the visitor want or need to be able to do. And then it's more technical part there that we go deep down into which technology can deliver which capabilities, so which assets can deliver which capability that we know that we need to create our experience. And at this point, we still add a lot of possibilities. It's not like we clearly define what we want. But at this point, we start to see some more unclear zone about technologies. So with our client, and you would be able to see that down there, we just explain still with EDGY that if you want this part of your global mission to be achieved, and to deliver this experience, we will need to test and to do proof of concept for some technologies that we may want to buy. And that's bring us to the blueprint part, where we start to mix, okay, if we have this part of the journey of the visitor, and in the green, what kind of part of the mission, what kind of the purpose of our museum are related to each part of the visitor experience, which product and which technology our product must have to be able to deliver the experience. It's not completed because the project is still ongoing, but we will have to define every step. So everything is linked. You see, Milan, you told that a bit earlier. An enterprise, it's an ecosystem. Everything is linked. So EDGY help us to show that to the client, that if you decide not to buy, let's say, this part of the technology, you won't be able to achieve this part of the mission, and you won't be able to deliver this part of the experience, because everything is linked. So we did that for all part of the visitor journey that we have, by piece here, to be able to navigate in that, because it's a lot of small parts, and it give us it's bring us to this part when we define the proof of concept that we will do, and we did that in a lab in the museum with technical expert, with exhibition designers, and everything is again linked. You see that if we want that connected product for this stakeholder, we need those capabilities or those assets that will help us deliver this part of the mission in green. And we have this for every proof of concept that we want to test. And for the client and the museum staff, that make them understand, even if they are not technical experts, that we really need to do those experiments. On the other side, for the technical experts, the IoT experts, they are able now to understand that if they fail on this experiment, we won't be able to deliver this precise part of the experience that we want to create. So, and this is architecture, technical architecture documentation. But we still see that any part of technical decision is linked to mission in green and to experience in red. So if I just zoom out, this is how you start with a vision. I would go there. You start with a vision, a mission, in that case, given by the Minister of Culture, and you untangle all this complexity to make everybody in the team, even if they don't have the same expertise, to be able to see the whole project and how everything is connected. And I think that's one of the great power of EDGY and enterprise design. It's to make people work together. And in this case, if we did not use EDGY, we will probably end up with the same mess that Milan showed us at the beginning. So it's a rapid overview. If you have questions, put it in the chat. I will be happy to answer. Milan, if you maybe want to take it from there. I know you have some other thing to see, but I'm trying to.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have some question? Maybe 5 minutes for questions?
Absolutely. So there's one question from Tomomi, which is how many workshops to make all these maps?
If I remember well, we have 5 half-day workshops, and we plan a 6th one, but we transfer that into more analysis because we've been in technical kind of stuff that don't need a workshop for that. But GS, you can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but it's 5 workshops.
He is saying the same, so that's great. You are aligned.
Any other questions?
Yeah, there was one question from Stefan about how did you handle, how did you catalog all of these connected devices and what they can do?
In fact, for this particular project, we decided to use a kind of risk management matrix. So we start with a technology that can do almost everything an Apple Watch can do, but that you can insert into anything. You don't have to be a watch. It could be, everything. And it was full tech. And we found other lower tech, and we connect that to what will be the experience if you use that. So the client would be able to choose whatever the budget, whatever the technical complexity they want to handle. So the technology. Yeah. So that's how we present that to the client. If you're speaking about the example that we found all around the world, it goes from Disneyland to the Disney wristband to the Elwood Cooper Museum in Philadelphia that use a pen as an object. We go to Nintendo Switch. It's more GS, my business partner part. He's started getting an expert in IoT right now. That may go deeper in details for that. But to conclude on this, my use case, all this process make also all the team understand that the connected object is important, of course, because it will go in the hand of the visitors. But to be able to create this connected experience everywhere in the museum, we also need a platform behind that will also connect the different stations of the exhibition, the ticketing technologies, and everything that goes around the museum. So we are now creating what we call an visitor interaction management system, something like an ERP or CRM that will help the museum create, improve, and change how the visitor interact with the museum as like if it was a person. So there is, of course, this little object, but I think the real creativity and what EDGY helped the team to understand is that the platform behind that is the real thing that we want to build, and the proof of concept also demonstrate that quite well.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much. So I think the museum doesn't exist yet. So, but when it does, you can see the result.
You all are invited to the opening on June 24, 2026. We hope.
Yeah. And Eric, before you get off the hook, there's one question from Odin, which apparently it's for either of us, but because we are all now in a way co-creators of EDGY, but I'm a little bit I guess closer to the authoring, so I want to give this to you as one of EDGY's absolute key users. Can you just summarize your journey of leveraging EDGY for your client and stakeholder projects?
Okay, so first, kudos to my business partner Jean-Sébastien, because it's mainly him that bring me in. I've been there, let's say, like baby steps at the beginning, after some small project and seeing my business partner use it quite a lot, I start to see how it can help on more, consulting practice. Then I got my intersection group training on EDGY. The Milan, you will speak about that in some minutes. I was mentored a bit by Milan and a lot by Jean-Sébastien, of course, and I start to experiment. And as our business practice and friends, we don't sell EDGY as a product for our client. We just help client on their project to clarify complexity or create some, as you said, connected environment or any kind of project that we handle, and we use EDGY in the project. We don't tell them at the beginning that we will use EDGY, and after some time, most of clients said, "Hey, all those colors and shape and language elements, they all come back. Why is this a system or is just like your stuff?" And then we introduce EDGY, and in the last year, we have 2-3 clients that come to us because we were using EDGY. But at the beginning, we did not sell EDGY as a feature or anything like that. I hope it totally or partially answer your question. That's a problem with the chat question.
Right. Yeah. I just want to show like a little of how you can get started. So there's the website enterprise.design. In reality, this picture here behind is moving because we think that it's an artwork that we use to illustrate that enterprises really are dynamic and all these perspectives are actually everywhere and intersect and overlap, and there's a movement. So in any given situation, you can use any of them to gain clarity and to express what you want to express. And you see here, I put ongoing implementations we know of because EDGY is open source. It's Creative Commons. So people that implement it and use it don't necessarily have to tell us. So we have seen implementations in Confluence. We are also using that. So in enterprise environments, you have just witnessed Miro. There's also enterprise architecture tools like Qualiware. There's Archie also coming up. Visio is also coming up. So yeah, more and more tools and more environments where you can use EDGY, because in the end, it is, it's a visual graph-based language whether you put it in a virtual whiteboard, into a diagramming tool, or into a repository tool is really up to you and up to your use case. But you can go on our tool section and just download slides also or stencils and materials also for the more classic widespread environments in corporates and enterprises like PowerPoint, for example. You can also, and this is again coming back to our Amsterdam conference, just use Post-its or other stickies. I think these are other ones because the colors fitted better. To just, as Eric said, softly introduce the language. Well, this is actually an EDGY workshop, so we had it on the wall. But just, use blue for the architecture, use red for the experience, and it will flow naturally as the shared understanding emerges. Our friends from InFriends are also working on a card deck and a game, so bringing EDGY into the physical world so that you can use it better in workshops and also gamify it. So stay tuned for that. But if you want to actually learn it, so there is the next cohort coming up end of April, 6 weeks, 4 weeks of course, 2 times a week, and videos and some homework. So this is open, and it's a certifying, our first certifying course. We now have, as of, we soon have the hundreds certified EDGY practitioner. There are more webinars coming up, some with me, some without me, about how to apply it in IT, how to use it with AI, how to use it for change, or also a deep dive into capability maps if you are interested in that. EDGY also implements the enterprise design patterns, which is more of a recipe collection, how to use, how to practice enterprise design, how to go for impact, and more like guidance if you are in a certain situations, what you could do. All of this is done by our association called Intersection Group. You can also visit us at intersection.group. Again, if you have something to share in the untangling the mess space, please don't hesitate to submit something for our upcoming conference.
Milan, we have 2 questions in the chat. Are people using metrics and tags in projects? And if so, are they mostly descriptive text or used for some analysis, like codex values for risk metric? Any experience to share? What do you think about that, Milan?
Yes. People do use metrics. So in EDGY, I can just show you how it works. So you have the website, which is a media wiki, by the way. So then we go to. So EDGY has something called labels, which is either tags or metrics. So metrics basically means you put some variable on top of your EDGY element, right? So you, for example, in all the examples on the website are from Intersection Railways, which is a non-existing fake railway company somewhere in Europe that we use for examples. But you can basically put how satisfied is someone with, for example, a task like this is getting some food and drinks on the train, or how well are we achieving our goals. So these are metrics that we see them used quite a lot as soon as the models and maps that you make in EDGY get widely adopted, right? Because in the end, we need to add, is this good? Is this bad? Where should we look? If something happens here, what will happen there? So for all of these questions, metrics are really, really important.
Yeah, Milan, and we are working on a model to see which kind of metrics is best for every element in the EDGY model. it's not elements, facets, and intersections. It's not totally finished, but we think that for some facets is better with OKR. Some other facets is better with KPI, stuff like that. We GS have some material on that. Yeah. We have another question, technical question. Are EDGY, Stéphane? I got technical question. Are EDGY graphical object creating objects in EA tools? Oh, Milan, if for EA tools, I will leave it to you.
Yes, no problem. So short answer is they should. Again, we are not aware of all implementations, and there are different ways to implement it, right? So we have seen some tools where they haven't really yet included EDGY in the meta model. That means you can put EDGY in, but it's more just graphical content. But we think in order to actually play out its strength, it should be part of the repository, right? And so we have seen that at least with Blue Dolphin, with Qualiware, with Enterprise Architect. We have also seen it in Mega. Not all of them are yet looking the way we would like them to look, and so we are looking into implementing an accreditation process so that we can actually check, is the language complete? Do they support labels, metrics? Does it look like EDGY? Does it support all the relations? There's also a mapping to Archimate, which means you can actually use any Archimate tool to make EDGY models on top by just having Archimate in the background, or use it in combination with Archimate. And I also take Yuva Pekka's question. It's in a similar direction, I think. So it depends really on the tooling, right? So we are working right now with a startup that wants to use EDGY for decision modeling, and in that case, you would use the EDGY elements, put them into something like a morphological matrix, and assign numbers to, for example, risks or opportunities in their interplay. And in that case, yes, you can run an analysis like a computer would do. Other people use AI for a similar purpose, right? So in the end, EDGY is mostly a language. You can use it for a graph database or repository model. You can use it for matrix kind of type calculations, or you can use it for whiteboards and visual collaboration. And yeah, so Larissa, there was an initiative to actually build it into FigJam, but I will actually have to follow up on that. I don't think we don't have that yet. If you are volunteering,
but we have it in Miro, Milan, and Miro is way better anyway. So I'm kidding.
All right. I think that's we're at the top of the hour.
I just have a live information, Milan. The full toolkit will be 2.0 will be on Miro in the coming hours, days.
Yes, probably days. All right. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Reach out to us wherever you would like on LinkedIn or by email, or join our Slack. I will also put the invitation here if you're not on there yet. Here you go. And yeah, let's continue the discussion and keep in touch, and have an excellent day, afternoon. And thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Milan. See you soon.